Tag, meine Freundinnen von Deutschland. It is a great pleasure to be here with you in this form today. I realize it has been a year, more or less, since we were together in Hamburg. And in that time, as we know, the world has changed dramatically yet again. Of course, I had committed to come again in person, physically, in my three-dimensional form, to this conference in Hamburg concerning 2012. However, given the scale of events, given the intensity and the acceleration of events, also following a journey, a trip I took to Africa and to India in May of this year, 2010, on consideration of what I experienced in Africa and India, in consideration of what was happening in the world, the earthquakes in Haiti and Tibet, the flood that has recently happened in Pakistan, the volcano, the oil spill in the Gulf, and the hottest year on record so far, with miserable conditions in Moscow over the summer. In consideration of all of these, I wondered deeply. I was struck most intensely, for instance, by the poverty in Africa and India. I'm sure many of us have been to these places and have seen for ourselves the extent of the misery and the poverty that exists in these areas and many other parts of the world. I wondered, as I traveled through Kenya and southern India, why does this poverty exist at this scale? Why are there still humans without sanitary conditions? Why does this level of squalor and despair exist on our planet? How can we spend $1 trillion on war, as for instance in the budget of the United States of America? Where and how are we going to eradicate this poverty? What does this mean as we quickly approach 2012? I thought about this very deeply. I thought about the intensity of the earth changes. And sometime after my return from Africa and India, I had a very, very deep voice, a deep command from within my being, or perhaps from afar, that told me that the time had come to stop spending my time traveling, to go inward and prepare for the final stage of the closing of the cycle. The voice was very clear and communicated to me that as of July 26, 2010, which is the new year on the 13-moon calendar, the red overtone moon year, that as of that date, I should withdraw from the world and concentrate on the development of meditation practices in preparation for 2012. That the best way I could serve humanity was to do this focus, to do my best, to raise myself, to raise my consciousness, and to create or co-create a meditation space that was in tune with the coming of the new time, so that we could be prepared, so we could set some kind of example. In this process, we will be sending out communications from time to time regarding the harmonic convergence of 2012. This will consist of a series of synchronized meditations which will draw us together as we approach 2012. So with that consideration, I saw it necessary to cancel the 3 or 4 talks that I had already given my consent to for the rest of this year, 2010, and instead send out this message, first to you in Germany, regarding the situation on our planet and regarding what is happening and how we are going to be preparing for 2012. I have 3 points basically to make. The first has to do with the preparation. The second has to do with the Noosphere. And the third has to do with the restoration of sacred power. Regarding preparation, it was very clear to me after the trip to Africa and India that we had entered the next stage in coming to 2012, and that is the stage of preparation. There are many levels and many ways we can approach this, but we must be very clear that we are now in this stage of preparation. How do you prepare for an evolutionary shift? What 2012 is about, more than anything, is that we are going into a major evolutionary shift. We can talk about this in many different ways. We are going into a new dimension. The earth changes are creating the possibility of a new stage of terrestrial, solar, and cosmic evolution. That we are going into a mind shift, a radical change in consciousness, a radical change in the way we perceive ourselves and our reality. It is most of all in this regard that we need to consider preparation. When I consider that preparation process for myself, it involves basically one word, and that is simplify. Simplify, and if there's another word, to purify, to detox ourselves, to detoxify our mind, to detoxify our body, to help our planet detoxify itself. Simplify means we are going to be approaching a stage when it is highly possible, due to the solar storms, that the electromagnetic grid will be sufficiently impaired or shut down in 2012 that what we usually consider of the usual means of acquiring our goods, acquiring what we need, our communication systems, that these may be impaired. We need to simplify and be prepared for that. It's not the end of the world. It's just a major shift in how we are seeing ourselves and how we are doing things. So we must simplify our minds. I recommend all the time that people meditate, that people practice a very simple Buddhist or Zen style of meditation, where you clear your own mind, where you take responsibility for your own thoughts, for your projections, for what you're putting out, and just arrive at just a very simple, clear, clean state of mind. Of course, we should go even farther and attain what we might call ego-free states, so that we are creating less and less clutter in the field of consciousness. The other aspect of simplification is actually finding where your place is and staying put, finding how we can grow our own food, how we can become self-sustainable. This is very, very important for the time that we are coming into in this final stage of preparation. Incidentally, at the moment when I'm making this video, we have exactly 850 days to go. By the time you are gathered for your conference in Hamburg, you'll have approximately 800, just over 800 days to go. That is not very much time. So we have to really consider the time and what must be done. This is a time of preparation. This is a time, I think, of taking stock, of deep reflection, of going inward and being in touch with our true nature, with our true selves. Everything will continue to change more and more rapidly and more dramatically. We are coming into a new time. This is the second point I would like to make, and that has to do with the fact that we're coming into the time of the Noosphere. The Noosphere is the next stage of the evolutionary development of the Earth and of ourselves. Noosphere, which means the Earth's mental envelope, the Earth's mental field. The Noosphere is a scientific term for this evolutionary shift. One of the coiners of the word Noosphere, Vladimir Vernadsky, who coined this word, along with Pierre Teilhard de Chardin and a third Frenchman, Jules Leroy, in 1926. Vladimir Vernadsky wrote in 1945, towards the end of the Second World War, the historic process is changing dramatically before our eyes. Mankind, taken as a whole, is becoming a powerful geological force. Humanity's mind and work face the problem of reconstructing the biosphere in the interests of freely thinking mankind as a single entity. This new state of the world we are approaching without noticing it is the Noosphere. This is a very interesting statement 65 years ago. The historic process is changing dramatically before our eyes. How would Vernadsky respond if he saw how dramatic it was changing today? And he would certainly agree. The Noosphere is imminent. He also makes an interesting statement about the reconstructing the biosphere. That is a very important point. That is the task that lies before us once we pass through the eye of the needle of 2012. The reconstruction of the biosphere. And he says also, in the interests of freely thinking mankind as a single entity. Mankind as a single entity. This is the universal brother and sisterhood. We are a single entity. We are a single planetary organism on this earth. You to whom I am speaking right now are the German family part of that organism. We have many different families in this organism. We have the Russian family, the French, the Japanese, the Egyptian, the Israeli, the Palestinian, the African, the Somalian. These all constitute families within the single organism. We call this a planetary organism, that humankind is a planetary organism. In our evolution to this point, it was hard to see that for thousands of years. One tribe was over here and another tribe was over here. One nation was over here and another nation was over here. But then in the last 400 years, slowly we all came together, converging, clashing, battling with each other, trying to come together to create some type of united field. Biologically and in relationship to the Earth, we are now that one single planetary organism. We have not fully experienced that in our consciousness. We have seen that in space, when we take the photographs of the Earth from space, and we see the Earth and it is one and indivisible, without boundaries, without flags, one and indivisible, a single planet, a single organism, the human being, in union with all of life, the entirety of the biosphere. It is we, the humans, who have created this crisis, but for a purpose. The purpose of making the evolutionary shift from the biosphere to the noosphere. This is the greatest shift in the history of the Earth since the emergence of life 500 million years ago. When life emerged, we had a differentiation between inorganic matter and organic matter. Life is the term intermediate between matter and mind. Nous is the Greek word for mind. Between matter and mind is the intermediate term of life. In the last 500 million years, we've seen life, organic matter, evolve ever more complex, ever more diverse forms. At one point, matter acquires the quality of intelligence, intelligent matter, intelligent organic matter on Earth, conscious intelligent organic matter, until we finally come to the last 26,000 years, the cycle of Homo sapiens, the skilled, clever tool maker. His tools ranging from his polished spear points to his Toshiba television and computer, to his cell phone, where he has the world in the palm of his hand. This process has been only to come together and realize that we are one species, one organism on this planet. All of life is a spectrum from the plankton to the human being, but it's all one indivisible life. As a planetary organism, we have now come to the stage of realizing we can no longer divide ourselves. We must come into unity. We must come into a higher synthesis of our consciousness. We must come together and realize that we are a planetary organism in relationship to the Earth and with a particular function to bring about the full consciousness of the Earth, the noosphere. The Noosphere is an inevitable event. It is imminent, and it will be the great shift of evolution that will be happening as we pass through the eye of the needle in 2012. 2013 will be the first year of the Noosphere, the new evolutionary era on Earth. For just as 500 million years ago, we saw life evolve from matter, so now, at this point, we see life slowly transforming into mind, where mind becomes the key element in the process of the governance of the earth and of life and everything that we call ourselves. Mind, we go from matter to life and then to mind. We know that we all possess mental capacity, spiritual capacity, emotional capacity, psychic capacity. We are spiritual, psychic beings. We have known that. Our great yogis, our great saints, our great visionaries throughout all of our history have pointed this out, have embodied it, that we are spiritual, psychic, mental beings. Our body is the instrument that we use, but what we are carrying forward is a spiritual, mental perception of the universe. Why we are evolving is to carry forward a more pure, spiritual, mental perception of the universe. We are cosmic consciousness embodied on this planet. We are furthering the evolution of cosmic consciousness in this part of the galaxy. When we pass through the eye of the needle, we are going to go through this quantum shift. We must, that's why I said we must prepare. The Noosphere is one mind, so we must prepare. How do we experience one mind? We must learn in the process of 2012 through synchronized meditations how to focus and become one single mind. We focus, for instance, on one image, the rainbow around the earth. We all focus on that as one image and create one mind. As we move closer and closer to the point of December 21st, 2012, the synchronization process of the meditations that we develop, that weave all of this together as a single mind, will become stronger and stronger and more powerful. When we get into the passing into the quantum shift, we will discover on the other side that we have acquired or reacquired our telepathic ability. Our paranormal capacities will increase. And we will see that this is the actual nature, the actual means for expressing our true nature. We are meant to evolve into this beautiful, spiritual, mental capacity, where we each have our autonomy, but we are no longer separatist, individualized egos. But we have learned how to immerse our mind into the larger whole and to develop capacities of telepathy and other paranormal powers to express a whole new vision of ourselves and of the universe. We have been living, as we know, in a time of terrible conflict, in a time of upheaval, in a time of much change, in a time of what seems to be great technological magic. And yet, as a species, we are unhappy. We have not learned how to take care of ourselves. We have not learned true compassion. We cannot have a true realization of the actual nature of reality without the consequent experience of universal compassion. If you think you are having an experience of the true nature of reality and it is not accompanied by a profound sense of compassion for all of life, then we have missed the point. We have opportunity, as I saw, as many of us see around the world. There is much suffering, untold amounts of suffering. Displacements of people by floods, epic earthquakes, by famine, by war. And yet, many of us just remain isolated. When we come to 2012, we must be breaking down the barriers of our own selfhood. We must open ourselves to the universal compassion and consider how we can share everything on this planet with everybody. When we reach the point of the noosphere, we are going to experience a totally different perception of things. We have been living in what we might call a profane world, a world where the vision of life as sacred has by and large been lost. The sacred vision is a whole vision, where we see ourselves whole with all of reality, with all of life, with all of the universe. When we respect every single being, insects, birds, animals, other human beings, as each one of them is the expression of a sacred divine law, then we can come to a point of reconstructing the biosphere. As long as we are lacking in sacred view, we cannot do that. The restoration of sacred power is the consequence of entering into the noosphere. We are going into, as I said, the greatest shift in 500 million years. Our perceptions are going to be turned upside down several times, and we are going to see things in an entirely different way. When we talk about the restoration of sacred power, what do we mean by that? Who has sacred power? When we read the stories of the Native Americans, for instance, at the end of the 19th century, and read their words, we realize that before they were conquered, before their land was taken from them, that they lived, for instance, in a way in which each person was in touch with their own sacred power. Each person felt themselves as an authentic being in relationship to the whole and in relationship to all that is. Sacred power means being in harmony with your true essence and true self and acting in an authentic way. Many of us do not really know what is our true nature. What is my true self? How do I know that? We cover everything up, and so we have lost that. We play out lives that we learn from mass media. But when we go inward to say, who is my true self? What is my true self? How do I become in touch with it? You know it when it happens. You know it when you go away and go into the forest and sit there for a few days. And all the other stuff falls away. You know it when you meditate for several days, for a week, and then begin to feel it and see it. All the other stuff falls away. Everything is just a shadow self playing itself out. That's not you. When we are in harmony with that inner self and when we have touched that, then we are opening to the cosmic force, to the divine force that permeates the universe. We're not relying on external devices. We're not relying on external forms of gratification. We're not relying on external feedback from our limited social conditions, our limited psychological conditions. When we're truly in our sacred power, we're experiencing a limitlessness. We're no longer bound by death. We're no longer bound by desire. We're no longer bound by incapacity. We have freed ourselves. That is sacred power. When we move into the noosphere, we must prepare to become new beings. Beings who have found themselves restored in their sacred power. Beings who find that their limitlessness endows them with the unique perspective that they have in this particular place in the cosmos, and at the same time opens their mind into the noosphere. And in opening into the noosphere, that we have contact with all souls, we have contact with all essences of being. We have entered into the domain of cosmic consciousness. We are experiencing the descent from the next dimensional level of the supermind, of the consciousness that is whole, of the consciousness that is the next stage of mind. For just as life evolved from matter and mind, and then life, the body of life, gives us the opportunity to evolve mind. So we see that mind is really just a tool that has helped us to organize our life in such a way that we can be prepared for the next stage of wholeness, the next stage of planetary being. And this next stage of wholeness, then we are preparing to receive the gift of the supermind, the mind that is beyond the little mind that we deal with every day, the little mind that is bogged down in the sense of I, me, mine. But the mind that is beyond that, the supermind. This is the divine mind of the cosmic consciousness. This is the next stage of our evolutionary process. We're going into the stage of the noosphere, which is also referred to as the Psycho Zoic Era. The Psycho Zoic Era is where we experience that matter is indeed a manifestation of mind, where we experience the spiritualization of matter, of all of life around us, of the atoms that exist in everything and everywhere, that these are all becoming spiritualized, that everything starts to become endowed with a type of psychic power, emanation of psychic power. When we realize this next stage of ourselves as a planetary organism, a single whole, a single entity, on this earth, at one with the earth, then we will realize the ancient expressions. I am one with the earth and myself are one mind. These are the mantras of the Noosphere. I am one with the earth and myself are one mind. The earth is speaking through me. The earth is seeing you through my eyes, as the earth is seeing, as you seeing me through your eyes. We are all one. The earth is one, and we are one with the earth. Two aspects that we can anticipate once we have passed through the eye of the needle into the Noosphere. One is that we are not alone. Cosmic civilization exists as a unity throughout the universe. We know that. We know that this is the message, for instance, of the crop circles. We know this is the message of that great, fantastic, fugitive phenomenon of the UFOs. We know that there are higher intelligences, higher beings in the universe who are watching and who have been watching us, especially since we became naughty children and created the atomic bomb without knowing what we were doing. Especially since then have we been watched, placed under surveillance, supervised. Some of us have had contact. Some of us have had telepathic messages. Part of the process of the synchronized meditation program of 2012, the harmonic convergence of 2012, is to establish a common, unified, telepathic field of receptivity that is intended to send a signal to the cosmic intelligences who have placed us under their surveillance, to send them a signal saying, we're doing our best. Now we are practicing as best as we can the creation of a planetary unified mind. We're practicing as best as we can the creation of a mind of peace on earth. We are sending you this signal. We think this is what you have been expecting of us. We think that this is how we manifest, that we are learning how to grow up on this planet. If this is correct, send us a signal. We will receive a signal. And we will know that we have been accepted as part of the cosmic civilization once we maintain that state of meditation, collective, unified meditation, and make it to the other side of 2012. Then we will get communication and assistance, at least of a telepathic nature, as to how to proceed with our new mind, the mind of the earth, the mind of the Noosphere. Second aspect is that we will realize a new value of time. Zeit ist Kunst. Time is art. We'll understand that art is the medium of cosmic evolution throughout the universe. But art on a scale that we have scarcely anticipated or dreamed of before. We will realize that our mission is to transform our planet Earth into a work of art. Time is art. Zeit ist Kunst. Everything that we do will attain the value according to how beautifully and well done we do it. And in this we will find many, many, many benefits, because allied with a mind that is increasingly telepathic in nature, we will understand how art can be used to reconstruct the biosphere. Well, that is my message. Because we are one, we will stay tuned. Wir sind eine. We are one. Wir sind eine Planete. Wir sind eine Menschen. We are here. To unite ourselves and our planet. We shall overcome. We are one. We always have been, and we ever shall be. Ich liebe dich so. I love you so much. Thank you.